video is for Bluff City Law, and I believe it's the season finale. And if you can tell, I'm really emotional. I did just shed a few tears off that ending, and I see that y'all put the warning at the end, but I wish y'all would have put a warning at the beginning of the episode. I just let me do it at the beginning of my video. This video will contain talks of suicide, so if that's a trigger for anybody that watches my review, please click off right now. I don't want to trigger anybody. So let me go in order. Wow, like, I know he's a character, but it threw me off guard. Like, it's really messing with me. Okay, let me go to the case first. The case of this episode was a woman who went to school with Sydney. Okay, let's start. Jake and George, they were out together eating, having dinner, because, you know, George got his check, and, you know, they were celebrating. And then across the room, you can see, sorry, because I know it's making noise, I'm trying to let it not hit the table. You can see Sydney on a date with a guy, and it's going terrible. So Jake goes to rescue her and gets her out of there. So as she's walking to her car in a parking ramp, a lady comes behind her, and Sydney is like, she could feel somebody behind her because she had her mace ready. Like, she turned around with the mace, like, back off. And so the girl was like, I went to school with you, I was 2 years behind you, and I need yours and your father's help. And she's from Saudi Arabia, and she's on the run because basically it seems like the government, she was a blogger, and, you know, she's releasing information that they did not want let out. So they labeled her as a terrorist and was trying to get her to surrender. So of course, if she surrendered, they were going to kill her, so she didn't want to do that. So Sydney took her to Elijah's house, and Elijah asked her, like, some random person just come up to you, tell you that they went to school with you and they in danger, and you bring her to my house? And she was like, well, when you say it like that, it sounds bad. And he was just like, okay. So they take on her case and they hide her and well, they had Brianna take her to a hotel, you know, just so she can be out the way. So they're in court, and when asked to produce her, Sydney wouldn't. She wouldn't even tell Elijah or Anthony where she was, so they can deny knowing anything about it. So she would not give up her location at all. And the whole time, the guy from Saudi Arabia, he was working with the U.S. attorney, but they refused to give up her location. So they put Sydney in jail. She was held in contempt until she would produce her client. So, you know, Elijah, he's like, we're gonna get you out, Sydney. Like, his feelings was hurt. It's just like, you know, just tell him we're shooting. She was like, no, because if I do that, she's gonna die, and she's not gonna die on my watch. And so they have witnesses saying that I believe her name was Layla, that Layla was the reason why she's a terrorist, and she threatened to kill people, she's harmed people, and all that type of stuff. Oh, my nails dirty. My bad. I saw that in the camera. And what else happened? So then they got Layla's own brother to testify against her, saying that he was there when she planned the terrorist attack. She called him a coward because he wouldn't help. And it's like, Elijah wrote on the piece of paper to Anthony, like, don't cross-examine him, he's scared. You can literally see him shaking, and it's like, they're gonna kill him if he, you know, if this doesn't go right, they're gonna kill him. And so Anthony doesn't cross-examine him just lets him go. And when they get word back to Layla that they have her brother, she's like, I told him to go far off somewhere, so this wouldn't happen. And it's like, but somehow they still got to him, so she was willing to cut it all out right there and turn herself in. So Elijah tells her, no, you're not going to do that. And even if you turn yourself in, who's to say that they still won't kill your brother? And, you know, she's in a panic because it is her brother. And she's like, no, I have to do this. I have to do this. And he's like, my daughter is in jail right now because of you. She's willing to, because her license was threatened. And he said he was going to, the judge said he was going to tell the board about it. And it's just like, Sydney basically was putting her career and her life on the line for her. So she's, Elijah was just like, no, you're not just gonna run and then just make my daughter's efforts for nothing. And so then they set up a video cam to where she could testify, because it was live in court where they could question her. And even still, the U.S. attorney and the Saudi Arabia guy, because I really don't, do I just call him the government official? Yeah, so I'll just say SA government official. He wasn't happy with that. He's like, no, if we can't talk to her right here, then what is the point? And like Elijah said, he's like, you can ask her all the questions you want. Why do you physically need to see her? And it's like, what did they say? It was like, we have the right to, what is it? How does it go? Have the right to like question, I don't have the right terminology right now, my mind's all over the place. And there was, because the I wish I could have my words together, the testimony from the people who called her a terrorist, they were just videos, they weren't actually there in the courtroom. So Elijah said, what's the difference between this and that? And so the judge agreed and allowed the testimony. And so with that though, they were in a hotel, like I said, but you know how you have the little the packet that your key card comes in? They had that propped up in the room number 501, written in like a red permanent marker or something bright on it. So the SA government official, he sees that and he goes back and tells his two like bodyguards, you know, like, it's this, because of course you see the hotel name on the thing. So it's like, it's this hotel, it's that room number, like, go get her. And so of course it's a setup. So they go and do that. And while Layla's giving her testimony, Brianna switches the camera to room 501. And the judge is like, what is going on right now? And the two guys that went there, they have their guns pulled out as soon as they enter the room, like pointing. And the judge was like, what am I looking at? And Elijah said, what you see is their attempt to quiet our client like we told you they were going to do. And Anthony said they were in cahoots with the U.S. attorney. So am I saying that right? Or is it defense? Because I think they're the U.S. attorney. And they're, no? Anyway, because I don't care right now. And so, so they arrest those guys and they send the SA government official back to his country, because the judge said, like, legally I can't arrest you, so all I can tell you is that I hope you have a safe flight, you know, in the nicest way possible. And then of course Sydney gets out of jail. And then somewhere in the episode, Jake, like, when he came home, George was just sitting at the piano just playing on the keys, and they had a little moment where they just talk, you know, whatever. And then George goes to see his son for the first time since he's gotten out of jail. And he was hesitant at first because he said, you know, like, what do I say to him, especially after so long of him thinking that I'm guilty? But it's like, he goes and knocks on the door. His son sees him and just gives him the biggest hug. And George had a piece of paper folded up into his hands. I didn't know what it was. And also during the episode, because they really focused like on Elijah. Like it's his first Thanksgiving without his wife, and you know, of course, Sydney without her mom. But it was really so more about Elijah, and Emerson was going to put together a video for him of everybody just saying a memory that they had of Elijah and why they're thankful for him. And because Elijah said they were going to eat out instead of having like not a Christmas, a Thanksgiving dinner. They were just going to go out to eat and let that be that, because they didn't want to do a big gathering and such. But Emerson convinced him to do it anyway. It's just like, you know, we can start a new tradition with just us. And that's what it was. Like, everybody got together at Elijah's house, and you know, they had a turkey, they had pies, they had their pastas, you know, everybody's drinking wine. Speaking of, I think I'm about to go to the store. I'm gonna have to walk, but I'm gonna walk to the store and get me a couple bottles of wine. I hate that I gotta walk in the rain though. And then Jake gets a text from the police, and it's just like, he's thinking that George done got arrested again doing something else crazy. And this is so hard for me. And I do not cry on camera, so I'm trying to get this together, but it's so hard for me. When he gets to the location, because it's by, I'm assuming, oh, sorry, I thought somebody was coming through the door. It's near a body of water, and you see divers, and they have their boots, and they're walking towards Jake, and then you hear George's voice, and he's just like, you know, I tried, but in reality, they took my life from me. 20 years, and even now with me being out, I just couldn't do it. And you see his body in the white Ziploc bag. Okay. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. And it's just him telling Jake, live your life. Don't waste it. Like, enjoy your time. And you can see Jake try to run towards the body, but he couldn't. So then he breaks down, and it's just, it's a moment. Like, it's a moment. And which is, it puts things in perspective. And because what did I say? I think I said it like a few episodes ago. I was just like, I am tired of Jake and George. Like, I just want George to go on and did it. And then it makes you think, though. It's just like, that man was in jail for knowingly in jail for 20 years for a crime he did not commit, just so others around him could go on with their lives. And then it's just like, now that he's out, he's been cleared of all charges. He got a lump sum of money. He got that public apology, even though that means nothing, because what's an apology to equal out to 20 years of your life behind a bar, especially with the things that go on in a jail? It's just like, what is that? And it's just like, when you're finally free, what do you do now? So you can see why he did it, but the fact that he did do it, and it's just like, wow. And coming from, this is a little bit of my business, coming from somebody who's suicidal, who constantly thinks of suicide, it makes you think. Because it's just like, I'm still here, you know, praise God, but those thoughts are still there. And then it just makes you think, like, what happens to my family if I do? And that's the only thing stopping me. As much as they get on my nerves, the ones that I do care about and that I think about in times like this is just like, what happens to them? I don't want anybody to find me like that. And it's just like seeing Jake see the bag and realizing what's going on. I never want that to be my parents. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Like I said, if you made it this far, I appreciate you for watching. Like I said, I believe it's the season finale. I hope they get picked back up for another season because I do enjoy Bluff City Law. Oh, and then Sydney invited her ex-husband to the dinner, and like it's a weird thing between them. I think she just goes back because he's a go-to, but you can tell that Jake likes Sydney because it's just like when he finally, I guess, got it together and he showed up at her house and told her that he committed suicide, and she hugs him and they start kissing, but then she pulls away and looks behind her and you see the ex-husband coming down the stairs, and it did something to Jake. And he's like, I'm so sorry to have bothered you, and he leaves. But then she calls out his name like, Jake, no, Jake, don't leave. It's just like, why would I stay here? You got your robe on, he coming down the stairs like buttoning up his shirt, like, no, I'm good, I'll leave. And that's the way it ends. And I'm trying to think. Oh, because I did All Rise already. I gotta go watch Ambitions, and hopefully I'll have myself together by then. You know, peace and blessings, people. I love y'all. See y'all later.